Good evening. I'm Mayor Connie Boyer, and today I have our Superintendent of Schools, Lori Knowles, with me. And we're here today to talk about the project that's happening in our school district and help educate our community. So, Lori, why don't you start off and tell us where we've been, what the school board's been working on lately.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for this time, and I appreciate the opportunity to share some of our future plans that we have for our district. And through this past year, we have been working with contractors and engineers and trying to come up with a plan for a facilities need that would meet the needs of our kids for today and tomorrow. So that has been our big plan. Through that time, what we have found out is that we need a new middle school. And what they found out, even though the middle school is not as old as Pence, the construction was not at that same level. So the middle school is one that needs the most attention. So through a study that we had with a lot of stakeholders and architects and engineers and different focus community groups, it came down to all of the information is that they would like to look at a new middle school on the middle school property. Some of the goals that this focus group from our community had said is that they want to make sure that we are looking at efficiency and try to reuse things that we can, look at repurposing some of our land, keep things in the city of Fairfield, not looking at outside the skirts of that, but to try to keep it in the middle of it, and make sure that when we do big capital projects that we have it on a facility plan that is not just going to happen all at one time, but happen throughout the years, and so that it's not as much as a burden for the taxpayers.
Great. And by the way, it is June 28th today, so this will probably not be the only communication that Lori wants to have with the community. So she's really at the first step. But again, over the last year, how many focus groups did you have? Do you remember?
We had at least three or four that we brought in different groups of people. I know you were a part of at least one of those that you were able to attend. And it was really seeking that information and input. What does the community want? What did we hear from what they were saying? And so with all of that information is where we are today. And this won't be, I hope this won't be the last conversation, that our first step is to try to gain information and input from people, to get signatures from everyone that would be interested in being able to exercise the right to vote and to be able to have a question on the ballot so that we can try to go into the next phase, which would then be a little bit more of the building what the concept would be of a middle school.
Right. So I know one of the, I think I was at one or two meetings, and what I really recall is going back and forth of building brand new versus trying to fix what we already have. And I think based on costs and projected costs, it really made sense to build new. So, so tell us a little bit about the bond. When would that be? And, you know, what's the amount that we're talking about?
Sure. All right. So the bond would be on a vote September 14th. First step is to have signatures turned into central office by July 15th. We will present that to the board July 19th. We're looking for approximately 700 signatures so that we can present those to the auditor by July 30th. That would give us the time to then have it on the ballot for a September 14th vote.
So I understand you were out at the fair this last week collecting votes?
Yes.
So how many votes do you have now, approximately?
Right around 300.
Okay.
So we had a good turnout. We had a lot of people that we were able to share some information, and people are saying this is the first time they're hearing about it, and that's true because we've had these small focus groups, and we've just kind of come up to this is where we are today, is starting to share in small groups with just different people, organizations, organizations, hey, this is a concept that we would like to put in front of you. What are some questions that you have? We are truly seeking questions and input so that we can see where the community would like us to be. We did hear from our teacher groups, and they are really wanting a facility that they're able to have some flexible seating, that they have the space where they can have kids in groups and be able to do a lot of hands-on learning that in some of the smaller classrooms at the middle school that they cannot.
So currently at the middle school, what grades do we have there?
We have 5th grade through 8th grade at the middle school. One of the things that we heard from our staff and the educators is that we said, if you could have your dream, what would that be for your kids? And what they kept continually saying that they would like to have them grade alike. So they are grade developmentally alike. So they would like kindergarten through 2nd grade together. They would like 3rd through 5th grade together, and 6th through 8th. That way then they can really focus on the students and their learning in those options. The teachers are enjoying the grade alike that we have in place, but they really want to start getting the grades then appropriately placed for the students. So that was one of their goals that they would like to see. So part of the plan as we would move forward be planning for the future and planning for our children's children as we would go forward. And step 1 would be to first bring the 4th grade over and have the 5th grade and 4th grade together in like a neighborhood on the same campus, and have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade on this campus in a different area.
Okay, so 4th through 8th would be all together at the current middle school, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
But separate entries, separate ways. They would share some of the same common spaces at different times of the day, but the children would not necessarily be working together. They wouldn't be eating their lunch at the same time together. They would be coming into the building at different places. So it would be like 2 schools on the same campus.
Neat. So in July, you said you have approximately 300 signatures. So will people be going out in the neighborhoods and trying to get signatures? Do you have people that are going to do that, or you're getting that from different organizations? How's that going to look like over the next couple weeks? Because that's about a couple weeks, so that's
right.
That's pretty quick.
Right. It is. We are going to see if there are people that would be interested in helping to gain those signatures from individuals in the community. Is it a total plan? Not yet. We are hoping that we can get people from our different groups that we had that would be willing to help take out some of the papers and get those for our community members to sign.
Okay. And do you want to talk about the bond process at all? I mean, as far as the level of bonding that you've had in the past versus now and then going forward?
Sure. So what we are looking at right now, this is a $34 million bond that we are asking for that would include the high school HVAC in the gym. That was one thing that we were not able to do in the last bond that we had. We would also like to then have the new middle school and repurpose the tennis courts. Now, one of the things that I'm so proud of our community members is that we paid off our bond 11 years early, and that is why we're even able to sit down and have this conversation.
That's amazing.
It is that, and we are one that throughout the state that they will take Fairfield and say this is something that districts can do so that you can pay things down early so that you have your capital project completed. Now you have an opportunity that you could do another project, another option to help your students and your community with a new facility because you've paid this off early. So through that 11 years early, we saved $1.55 million in interest off of that bond. So that is wonderful. So what we are asking, we know if people look at their line item on their school taxes, they will see that it dropped this year, and it will also be low again next year. What we are asking is that we would take it back up to the 2019 level is where it has been. We notoriously have stayed right around the average of this area and around the state average, below the state average on a normal basis. So we would like to still do that and be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Yeah,
that's a testament to our board, and I think you and everyone who's involved in the finances at the school. So yes. Taxpayers really appreciate the efficiency of keeping those taxes as low as possible. I want to go back to the middle school. Can you kind of give me a sense of the top 3 issues at the middle school? Why we're even looking at this?
Sure. When the contractors and the engineers went through it, they found that the roof leaks. And as I've talked with people throughout the last couple of weeks, they're saying, yes, that roof has leaked since it was built. Flat roof, so those are some of the issues that we have heard. And even though they have tried to put new roofs on it, they still cannot get it so that it is not leaking. The windows are ones that also have been leaking throughout the time. The tiling around the building has caused some issues with the foundation. Even though we've had people work on the tile, we've done a lot of things to try to fix it. It's just a building that the contractors, the engineers said that in order to make it right would take an awful lot to try to fix those things, and we would still have a building that has too small of classrooms for what they need today. So the classrooms are tiny for the students that we're trying to serve and meet their needs today.
Great. And so where would it be on location-wise compared to where the middle school is now? And we also know that we have infrastructure in the ground. So speak to location and that infrastructure of the geothermal that's there.
Perfect. So right now, the plan and the concept, this is a concept that's there, is that it would be built right behind the current middle school, and we would have it so that the building would be put in place, move our students into that building, then tear down the old building. And part of the reason for keeping it on this land and in this place is that we would be able to reuse the geothermal, and that's another huge win, so that we can continue to use what the taxpayers have put money into and then reuse that for the current building. So by keeping it at the middle school, building it right behind it, making sure we're not on that field, then we can reuse that. So with that, that means that we would need to relocate the tennis courts, because we are trying to reuse the geothermal. The tennis courts are right there in that way. We also know that that's a shared that we have together with the city, with our tennis courts. So we've been trying to do some of the top resurface it, and we just have not been able to do that over the years. So this would be a great opportunity that we could build a new tennis court for our community in a place of yet to be determined. We don't know that yet.
Right. And how much did we put into that geothermal? Do you remember? And how long ago was that?
Oh, those are questions I don't know off the top of my head. I know that we are still paying on that right now. It's not continually done, but I can get that answer. Yeah. And those are good questions that I will add on our Q&A that we can make sure that we have.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to do a Stump Lori question.
No, not at all. But no, and that's what we want, is we want to make sure that we have those questions out there, so people can have that. Because if you have that question, then so do many others.
Yeah. And so if the building is pushed back from where it is and then the current building comes down, that looks like it would open up then for additional building if needed, I guess. Is that correct? Is there future plans beyond that?
Right. So once the building is demoed, then the next plan, and this is way beyond down for the next bond, which might be 20 years from now, would be to put in the K2 and 3 in that area and build forward. It also allows enough green space and area that if we needed to add more, if our community grows in areas of student population, then we could also add to that part of it. So the green space at the middle school location is ideal for expansion, and adding on to it, they would make sure the building is set so that there could be that K through 3 added to it in the future when that time is right for the community and the district.
Interesting. So that begs the question, which you don't have to answer, of what happens to the current schools, but that's way down the line.
It sure is.
So I don't know if you've all thought about that further down the line, but obviously that would be a question that would have to be answered at some time in the future. Those tennis courts, is there room on the current ground for to put those tennis courts there? I know it's undetermined at this point, but possible options?
I know that we have the baseball and the softball field that's there, so we would not be disturbing that. It would be ideal to keep them somewhere in that location close to that. We know that there's some area that land may not be as viable, but possibly if we look at it with the engineers and we can see if the land would be there close by. So the options are there. We just need to really, if this gets passed, then really dig into where it could be and have some really good conversations about locations in the city.
Yeah. So let's see. What other things do we need to talk about from your side?
Well, I think the timeline would be one that if we do have a bond vote on September 14th and it would pass, then we would have design and construction that would go through about July of 22, and then construction would start and then hopefully be finished by July of 2024, with students moving into the new building around that July 2024 time. Then after they would move in, then they would do the demolition of the current building.
So that's 3 hours, 3 years away. Right. That's that's out there. Obviously it takes a while for that construction to happen. Mm-hmm. A lot of things have to be put in place.
And this is not something that is a tomorrow fix. This is something that we're truly looking at what is needed for the future and not jump on this really fast. This has been over a year project that they've looked at things and determined that this is something that would be beneficial for the students, for our community, and really just help with where we need to be in the future for our children's children.
Yeah, and it sounds like from the teacher side, the way we teach now or the way we used to teach is not how we teach now. That's the way I should say.
Right.
So, and they're looking to the future and to create that way in which we teach, which is different, which is beyond I don't even know.
Right.
So, but that's what I hear you saying.
Yes, and it is. And that's where they're talking about that 21st century learning. Right now we have some rooms with flexible seating. We have the technology where the kids can be in small groups working on presentations together. And the teachers are just needing that space where the kids can really work and huddle in groups, do some hands-on learning projects. And it just takes more than space of classrooms with desks in a row.
So what can we expect if we get the 700 signatures here in July? Mm-hmm. What happens in August? Because you say the bond is in September. So what happens between July and September? That's about a 6-week time frame.
Then the campaign will really start to inform more of the public, making sure that everyone knows here's the reasons why, here's the answers to all of the questions and the input that we have received from the community so that we can get that information out. We would then have on our webpage a QR code so that people could look at their homestead valuation. What would it be like if we do have this? What does that do to your taxes? So we would get that information out to people and have more flyers and information so they can really see it. Right now we do not have any of that. So again, it goes back to step 1, get the signatures. Step 2, if we get that, then start the information for the rest of the community. Okay. So right now it's just small groups that we're meeting with and getting that information out.
So now it's just the possibility of having a bond, and that's that vote. That's the only thing that would be in that vote in September, correct?
I don't know that for an answer, but that would be, from our standpoint, it would be. Yeah. So that's what we would have on there. I don't know if there's other things that would be on that same vote.
Okay. Okay, great. What other things do you think we should cover?
I think that's pretty good. So it's based on the condition and the curriculum of what the teachers were and the capacity of the students, why there is the need, and get the word out. Ask questions, send those in, call our office. If you want to be one that would take a clipboard and a paper to get signatures, please let us know. We would love the help.
Seems like the more signatures, the better.
It is.
That means more support for you.
Correct.
But also, it's just this opportunity even have a more in-depth conversation,
yes.
You know?
Yes.
And for people to talk about what we want in the future as a community, and the school that we want our kids to go to, and the type of learning that we want them to have. So I think it's, like you say, this is at the beginning, and a lot more detail to come. And as you say, there's the detail of the construction, and that's not designed yet at
Not
this
at all.
point.
That won't happen unless we do pass the bond.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't want to get the cart before the horse.
That's right.
Is that what they say?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to have this time with you, and so that we could talk and get the word out a little bit. And please, if the people want a form, let me know, and we will get those so that they can help get signatures.
Great. And I'm sure if you have questions, any board member could talk to you.
Correct.
About details. Lori can. And so...
Yes.
Okay, so we'll look forward to people maybe at our doorstep.
Would be wonderful. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lori, for giving this information.
You're welcome.
Thank you.